Hey everybody, welcome back once again to the RetroGameFix.com Retro Jonez podcast number 119. This is your host Mitch.
And this is Mike.
Another week, another podcast. Here we are again.
Another job, another dollar.
Another job, another dollar. Give me that Skrilla. Have we ever made any Skrilla off this podcast?
We did a little bit. It took 3 years. But there was it wasn't really the podcast specifically as much as the YouTube videos. But yeah, we made like $5.
Oh, I was gonna say like $75. I was overshooting it. Wow.
No, I
nice.
think it paid. I think the YouTube paid out like $100, and then but we can't monetize anymore because we don't have enough subscribers.
Well, that's like $1 a year.
Yeah,
for the so
$1 an episode.
Totally worth it. Well, no, I'm talking about the $5, but yeah. So, but anyway, or it feels like we've been podcasting for 100 years, so maybe $1 an episode. So, anyway,
I feel you. I'm with
interesting week. Yeah, interesting week. One of the things we were talking about last week that I was not really on the fence. I was kind of like over the fence at that point. We kind of talked it out. Was the whole Nintendo Switch ordeal?
Yep.
Which was, just a reminder. I called you up literally because I was like, why the hell did Mike buy another Switch? And I'm like, did you buy another Switch? He's like, yeah. And I was like, what reason could you possibly need to, buy a second Switch? There's no reason. And anyway, long story short, I now have the Switch in my possession.
Yes,
so
you do. And it was funny because we chatted a little bit about it, but we saved most of it for the podcast because...
Yeah, because you were dying. You're like, tell me what you think about it. Well, I was like, no, man, I want to wait. I'm exaggerating.
No, well, yeah, it's kind of that. I mean, but here's the thing. So I think if people listen to the podcast have known that I kind of have this love-hate relationship with the Switch, right? And I love the hardware, and I actually really do enjoy the Nintendo Switch as a console and as a handheld. But
you're like the opposite of giving it a free pass, though. I
am the exact opposite of giving it a free pass. I feel like it's fine to like it and still have some opinions and criticisms, and especially for me as a Wii U owner, there just hasn't been a lot of like Nintendo stuff for me to play, right? That I could. Yeah, I get that. Right, and I mean, even this week, like Mario Tennis Aces comes out, and it's not a direct port of the Wii U tennis game, but it's like I played a shitload of Mario Tennis on the Wii U, and I'm like, I kind of had my fill of Mario Tennis, and so, there's just some shit there where I'm just like, well, it's great and it's fine, but I'm just not. I don't have the. I'm not ready to fellation Nintendo like it seems every other person in the world is. And so that's why I was like, well, I wonder what Mitch is really going to think of this thing. Mm-hmm. And now here we are. And so I sent Mario Odyssey along with it. And I think that's kind of where we're at. I was like, well, I'll send Mario Odyssey because I was still playing Zelda, which I ended up beating, but I will save my Zelda thoughts until you can play that too. So,
okay. Well, there's two things, and I just forgot the second thing. So the first thing was that I was like, I really don't want to spend money right now. I feel like I've spent like $1 billion, and I ended up spending even more money this week, and I'll talk about that too because it is directly related to retro game fixing. So anyway, I decided to give up my dream of. My very short dream, very brief dream of owning a Street Fighter II Championship Edition. Because I feel like if I just buy one, it's going to have a board in it anyways. I did not realize that because I've been sitting on a Street Fighter II Championship Edition board for years. I mean, it's probably been a good 5 years that I've been sitting on that. And I put it on a track, like I plugged it into my JAMA cabinet, and I never really I kind of played it a little bit, but I just pretty much just put it in there. And my son loves turning it on and like watching a track mode and like moving the joysticks around when that's essentially exactly me at when I was much older than him when I was a teenager. So anyway, I decided Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition. I'll sell the board. And last time I checked, here's the funny thing. Because the last time I checked, and this was a couple of years ago, it was like a $40 board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my buddies, I was trying to get him to help me move something. I was like, I will give you that Street Fighter 2 board. And this was like 6 months ago. And he was like, no, man, I'm just too tired. And I was like, okay. Turns out, anyway, I sold it in 5 minutes for $180. So I'm very glad I didn't piss it away by just giving it to somebody. So anyway, $180 shipped. So, I spent about $15 shipping and pretty much sent all of it plus $3 out of my checking account to you for the Switch. So I pretty much did an even swap. I mean, more or less, it's pretty much an even swap. So
right. Yeah,
I got it. Oh, the second point was this, because you were like, you had texted me. You're like, I'll just put a Mario Kart in there.
This was funny. Yeah.
I'll just put the Mario Kart in there, and you can just send it back to me whenever. And I was like, awesome, Mario Kart. I was like, that's cool. And then you sent a picture of it before you had boxed it up, and I saw that it was Mario Odyssey. I was like, so I thought you were throwing Mario Kart, and not that I cared. I'm like, I want to play Mario Odyssey too. I felt like Mario Odyssey was a better one. That I wanted to play that more than I wanted to play Mario Kart right this second. But it was so funny because I was like, I thought you were throwing Mario Kart in there.
And I was like, no, the Mario Kart.
I guess I just felt like you misspelled cart by spelling it CART or something.
Yeah. No.
So anyway, I got it. I've had several days to kind of really break it in, especially on Mario Odyssey, and I definitely have some thoughts on it. So
yeah, well, I think we should start. So and people probably heard many podcasts talk about the Switch before, but I think for us it's funny because early on I was one of the big proponents of the Wii U and then later the Switch, and I thought it was just
you were like super stoked, and I mean you can just look for the podcast.
Yeah,
title,
you can go back. I mean,
Switch,
there was just like I was just mind boggled by all the dumbass comments we heard, like it's not portable and it's too big and this and that. And I was like, me and you,
people were just complaining their asses.
They're just
off
complaining
about
to complain because they were so group thought into shitting on the Wii U that they're like, well, we need to shit on the Switch. And I was like, if you can give me all of those great Nintendo games that I played on Wii U and I can take them with me, that would be amazing. But I didn't mean give me literally all of
Nintendo
the games.
Literally took you literally.
I was like, don't give me like literally the same games, and that's what they did. But nevertheless, so you got your hands on it. How do you like the hardware?
So that's exactly where I was going to start too. I agree with you. The hardware is great, and it's weird to. I'll elaborate a little bit. So it's weird because the hardware seems cheap at first glance. To me, it did, but at second glance, I feel like it's premium.
As far as Nintendo stuff goes, I think it's premium.
Yeah, no. As far as Nintendo stuff goes, I'm not comparing it to like Xbox or PlayStation.
Well, I mean,
even like
even like the Vita feels like a better handheld, I think.
I'm with you. Yeah, the Vita definitely feels substantial, especially with the OLED. But I'd have to say, like, the Joy-Cons seem kind of like feel a little bit cheap at first, but once you just snap them in,
once you have the whole thing in your hands, it feels really.
Once you have the entire thing in your hands, it feels substantial. Like the screen is huge. The screen is great too because you can look at it at any angle, and it's still a perfect picture. You don't have any of that, light fade, like light loss, like it's which totally makes sense. Like, look, you can do that with the Vita too, but I did have a little problem with that with the 3DSs that I've owned, and I thought 3DS. So yeah, you're right. For a Nintendo product, it is premium. I feel like that. I feel like there's not much to it as far as the technology goes. The dock doesn't need to feel substantial, and it doesn't. And the Joy-Cons don't feel, like we said, don't feel substantial.
Yeah, I mean, when you pull those things off of it, they feel chintzy as shit.
Yeah, they do. They feel like something you'd probably get out of like a cereal box or something.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the one thing, like, people are like, oh, the Joy-Cons feel so great. I'm like, well, again, as far as a handheld goes, I think they feel really nice when they're attached. But, like, when you pull those things off or you put them in the Like I wouldn't like I
The
can't
joystick
yeah
thing.
I can't put in the like that Joy-Con holder. Like I had to buy a Pro controller. Like when I had them in that thing, I was like, this feels a little jank. But I think overall it's I think overall, and this again is where, and I've said it before, I think we've already said it here, is like as far as Nintendo goes, it feels pretty good, right? They kind of have a lower standard just based on some of the past stuff they've put out. Just
kind of, and I just to throw this out there, I never really thought of it that way with Nintendo, really, to be honest. Hardware wise, and I know you want to kind of probably cut in on this too, but for the 3DS, they had the whole, bullshit about the different screens that they'd ship with the 3DSs. And I have one of the shitty ones. I was like TFT or something. I don't remember basically what they were, but in my 3DS XL, like new 3DS XL, it's like the crappy screen, and it sucks because I want one of the nice ones where the 3D's better on it, Mm-hmm. So like Nintendo has, beyond that, I've never really thought of Nintendo as like cheap I've never really felt that I've never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, maybe not in their hand. Yeah, I guess
that's okay if you have.
No, I mean maybe not. I mean, I think the Wii, and then kind of the Wii U kind of took it that direction, just because I feel like the Wii and the Wii U felt a grade below other stuff. But I mean, looking back at, like, I've got a Game Boy Advance sitting on my desk right now, and just like kind of looking back through the history of time, and like the fact that like a Game Boy made it through like war. I mean, maybe I'm. I think as far as
that's a good point, because you have the Game Boy, no backlighting. You've got the Game Gear that comes out, and then you have the Game Boy Advanced. Was that backlit or
no? The Game Boy Advance SP was. But what I was trying to say is I think that, like, as far as the hardware goes, it actually feels pretty good. But Nintendo's always been one that wants to profit off the hardware. A lot of companies would kind of take a loss, or at least sell it at a break even. Where Nintendo's always kind of profited on that side of the business, and so I think that's where we've seen misses on like the 3DS, like you mentioned, the screen differences, and I think that's kind of where I was going on this. It was funny because I kept the new one and sent mine over to you, and the new one that I have, I can definitely tell the screen is 100% different than the one that I had that I'd sent.
Is that right though? Like how so? Elaborate on it.
Literally the warmth of the screen is way higher than the warmth of the screen that I sent you. So it was 100% clear when I turned on Zelda. And on Zelda there, on the loading screen, the bottom half is black and the top half is white. On the new one that I have, the bottom half is black on the loading screens, and the top half is literally yellow, almost. It's just a very warm yellow. And I don't generally on my televisions and stuff, I will go with a warmer white and I'll turn it up, but it was just literally it was the first thing I noticed. I booted it up, put in Zelda to start playing it. I was like, oh, that's different. I think the screen still feels correct and it still looks good and everything's good about it. The angles, everything like that. But maybe they changed some configuration later on. I have no idea, but the color temperature is definitely way warmer on that on the newer one that I have. So.
In a bad way, or are you just like used to what it was before, or would you say this is bad?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's. It's 100% a preference. I don't know if I'd say it's worse. It's just it's different. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't bother me, but it doesn't bother me. It was just enough for me to go, oh, that's different. I can tell 100% that's different. So take it for what it is. I mean,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, and I feel like you're probably one to notice something. Not that I'm saying that you're this way or that I'm that way. You'd probably notice that more than I would.
I don't think actually probably most people would even notice, but I fuck around with my TV,
you do, like
my
TV
TV calibrations.
You're here, like, with your TVs and definitely with your headphones and stuff too. So I feel like you'd probably notice a lot of things in both of those realms that I probably wouldn't perceive.
I have a pretty. It's just weird. I think just through the OLEDs and the amount of TVs I've bought in the last 3 or 4 years, I've gotten an eye for some of that stuff that I probably didn't have before. So I don't know if anybody else would notice, but it was just definitely something that jumped out at me, and I was like, wow, that is a way, way, way warmer color temp than was on the other one. So
I do like the screen a lot on the Switch, though. I wouldn't even compare it to the OLED screen on the Vita, which is the best. I mean, it just is. But I really, really like the screen. That's the first thing I noticed, because definitely with modding the Game Gear and I had the Superboy and all the handhelds that I've owned and do own. That's something I definitely do own. Realize right away as far as just how crisp the picture. Like basically, like I don't know about color tones and how warm something is or whatever, but I definitely in a nutshell am aware of the overall presentation of it, but I like that. I don't know why too. Nintendo, like the way they box stuff too. I noticed this with my 3DS too. I don't know. It's weird. Like the packaging, this is stupid. Packaging feels premium to me. And I know
it
that's
does.
So
it actually
dumb.
feels really nice.
Yeah. So I was excited to get it, but I was even more excited when I opened that box up and I've got, the Switch box and stuff like that. I was like, wow, it definitely kind of gets you hyped up. So it seems kind of dumb, and that's not something I'd normally notice, but I definitely noticed that with Nintendo.
Yeah, the presentation is really nice. You kind of pop that flap open, and then there's kind of the slate, and then the two Joy-Cons sitting right there, and then you boot the system up, and it's like, hey, put these things in. Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. I liked how they did it.
My son was super stoked too. He was really excited. He was like, "You got a present." I was like, "You want to help me open it?" And he was like, "Yeah." So he helped me put everything together, and he loves it. He thinks super awesome. So anyway, but moving past the hardware, so the only software I've actually only played two things so far on it, and one of them was just nothing. I mean, one of them obviously was Super Mario Odyssey, and the other was just like I downloaded Microsoft Pinball Arcade, and I'll talk about that last. But and who gives a shit about that? I play that on pretty much every system. So, but Mario Odyssey, I felt like it's weird. It wasn't a launch game, but it was. I don't mean the game is weird, but I'm saying the feeling is weird. I know it wasn't a launch game, so it came out like later. It came out in like July or August, or was it later in the year?
It came out in October.
Okay, yeah, okay. So it was the Switch came out in like March or May or something.
It came out in March, yeah.
Okay, it came out in March, and then on October, Super Mario Odyssey came out. And so I remember watching like the E3 footage, and I was like, wow, this looks like something different. Like it looked like kind of a reinvented Mario,
Right.
And
you got the hat, you got, you're looking at it going, wow, this looks like a neat spin on Mario.
Yeah, because there was the level with the real looking people, or actual. I don't know, where it looked like he was cartoon Mario in like a real world or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, wow, this looks really interesting, right? So I got it and turned it on, and you know what? This feels like such a weird thing to say, and I'm going to contradict myself at every 5 seconds, and I know you're probably on the same page with me, but it feels like a Mario game. And it feels like, a Mario game. It feels like a platforming Mario game, like, 3D platforming Mario games, such as like the Nintendo 64 Mario game, It doesn't feel like that particular game. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also not a great thing, for something that I felt like that was like kind of a big draw for the Switch, and that's the impression I got, at least. And maybe I'm just dumb or something. I'm not putting it past that. But I know Zelda. You'd been waiting for Zelda on the Wii the Wii U ever since launch, and they just decided to kick the can down the road into the Switch, right? So that's not an exclusive. And we've talked about exclusives, and now they have Mario Tennis and they have Mario Odyssey, right? As far as first party software.
Yeah, and then a new Kirby came out, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of the extent. And Splatoon 2, but I mean, that's kind of the extent of it so far, but it's a lot of the still...
But the Mario is like your marquee.
That's your marquee.
Mario,
yeah.
Mario and Nintendo, that's synonymous with one another. That's your marquee, no doubt. So, I'm not super incredibly impressed with it, but I also don't hate it. I'm enjoying it. I don't think it's like... I don't know. Like, for example, from Ocarina of Time to Wind Waker for Zelda, right? complete shift in everything. They were like, okay, well, not that those were consecutive games. I know that they weren't, but I'm saying from that engine to this engine, you know.
Yeah, though there was a lot of evolution there, right? And you go, oh,
it was completely different. It wasn't even evolution. It was just like we reinvented Zelda.
They're pushing the envelope of what you expected from Zelda, right?
They just reinvented it, like you know, N64, like Super Mario World for N64, completely reinvented Mario. You know, that was completely different. I guess I got the impression that that's what it was supposed to be, and I guess maybe I was just. I don't know why. Maybe I'm the only one.
Well, you're not. And this was funny because I had a lot of the same feelings. I was like, okay, new 3D Mario. First 3D Mario since Galaxy 2. True 3D Mario since Galaxy 2 on the Wii. Which, for all intents and purposes, was an amazing game. It was really great. And the hype leading up to it was, this thing is... You know, this is a Mario coming on a new platform. Nintendo is firing on cylinders. It's 22 years after they introduced the first 3D Mario on N64, and you're going like, okay, let's see what they can do with this. You're looking at the trailers, you've got the cool hat thing, which actually looked kind of awesome. They're showing all of these different worlds, and it's like, this looks fucking amazing.
Yep.
And then all of that, and I kind of turn it on and I start playing it, much like you, I was like, well... This is Mario.
It's fun. It's Mario.
And this is fun, but it's
good.
It's like it is Mario. Like, it's a collectathon. It's go find these moons. You get enough moons, you move to the next thing. Yada yada yada. And I think people are going to say, but the hat thing was so great, and that was their big innovation. And I'm like, the hat thing really is a non-starter. It doesn't you barely even use it. And then like once you finally get a cool power for the hat that applies to a certain level, you never use that power again, because the next level you need to do something different than the hat. So it's just like once you start having fun and go like, oh man, this is a really cool power, right? Like, you know, you think of Zelda or Mario 3, where all of a sudden you got the raccoon tail. And you're like, oh shit, this is great. But then you got to use the raccoon tail throughout the rest of the game, and it was a big key point. With the hat, it was like, oh, I got to take this thing over, and I turned into a tank. And I don't know if you're there yet, but it's pretty early.
Yeah,
or like,
I'm there.
Yeah, or I got the hat, and it got to do this, but it doesn't carry throughout the game. And I think that's where I was just like, okay, this is fine, and I'm having a ton of fun. And like, this is where I kept going to the internet being like, and I pulled it up right now, the Metacritic score for all, so it was 97. And I'm just like, 97? I'm like looking at this thing, and that's for 113 reviews. 113 reviews. The average is 97. And I'm just going like, I think it's a great game, but I mean, I kind of say those scores as like a revolutionary game, and I'm like, it's more Mario, and it's awesome. I mean, it's great, but I'm like going like, it's an 8. It's like a solid 8 for me.
I would say, like, look, I've played a lot of Mario games, so have you, and so has pretty much everybody that's listening to us right now. And it's good. It's really good, and that's why it seems like a contradiction. It's fun. I mean, it's really fun, and it's really beautiful.
Yep.
They did a nice job with the artwork and all that stuff. It's just not kind of like next level stuff, which I feel like is with the first Mario game of a new console. I feel like you really got to kick ass on it. Like, look at what I mean. Just let's look through. I don't know off the top. I'm just winging it here. So if I fall on my ass, then whatever. But you know, for the Super Nintendo, it's Super Mario World, right? That was completely different.
Mind-boggling at the time. I mean, I remember the one. And here's the thing: we're going to be able to name these games. And I can just name shit that just changed the game for me, right? I remember the one level in Super Mario World where it looked fantastic, but like where you're like climbing on the fence and then you can spin the fence panels around. I was like, what the fuck? This is great.
I mean, it was kind of like side note. Remember when we had those 3D glasses and we rented the Super Nintendo right away, and we were like, "Oh my god, it looks 3D."
It works. We're so stupid.
I mean, we're kids. What else? What do you expect?
Yeah.
But anyway, moving forward, N64, you had Mario 64.
Yep.
Huge revelation. Mario World. Like, I mean, look at those jumps. Those are exponential, right?
Yeah.
You have the GameCube. I'm tell me if I'm missing something here. GameCube, you had Super Mario Sunshine, which I loved Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, well, the new thing, and I hate to break this one to you, Mitch, but the new thing is all of the hip podcasts in the world. The new thing is to shit on Mario Sunshine. How did we ever like Mario Sunshine? That's the new thing.
Are you kidding me?
No,
that game is awesome.
No, that's the new thing.
Game.
And I thought Mario Sunshine was awesome. And not only that, so on the GameCube you got that, but then they also introduced the new stuff with Paper Mario, I believe, as well.
I think that was
64. Okay, yeah. But they did.
So thank you for reminding me of that. That's my favorite Mario series, for sure. Paper Mario. It's like a sub Mario.
Right. It's not a main,
But I love every single I've loved and I've played every single Paper Mario. I love that. I love the battle systems and all that stuff. That's probably one of my favorite franchises. So, I don't understand the hate about Super Mario Sunshine. I love that game, and I would play that game today if I had it.
And then the Wii hits, and then you get Super Mario Galaxy, which was also a great step up, and there was some nice innovation there. And then you got Galaxy 2, and then Wii U came along, and the Wii U was a little bit different because they went back to 2D Marios. Yeah. Then you still ended up with Super Mario 3D World, which is fucking awesome, which is amazing. It wasn't a launch title, but it was amazing. And then you got Mario Maker. So I'm coming into the Switch. That's where I'm going like, all right, what are they going to do next? And then it was like, here's Mario again. And I'm like, I kept in the back of my head the entire time I was playing it. I kept being like, I feel like I should like this more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel you, and it's not a bad game. It's fun.
Yes.
I've been having a blast playing it. I'm going to play it as soon as we're done with the podcast. But you get it. We're not I'm trying not to bitch about it because it's a fun game, but it's not the level of magnitude that I'd expect from their franchise. Yeah,
the marquee. Yeah.
Not a launch title, but it's kind of close. It's as close to a launch title as you can get. It's in that launch window, right?
It
was part of what was
5-6 months later, but yeah,
what was kind of billed as a system seller,
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it, but I'm not blown away by it. It feels a lot like Mario Galaxy, Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 64.
And these aren't bad things, but
it feels like those three things combined, which doesn't sound like a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's not as amazing as I expected it to be, which is fine.
Yeah.
So anyway,
no, I think that's the key. It's like I was saying, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and I'm glad other people thought it was amazing. I just was like, I think it's great. I really think it's great.
It's really easy too. So far, it's really, really easy. I'm to the part where I was going to go to like Metropolitan City or something like that. But then you run into Bowser, and then you're in like the Lost something. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So so far it's been really, really easy. It's very predictable. I know where all the moons are just because I know where I've played Mario, every iteration of Mario pretty much. And I know what their thinking is, and it was one of those things, I think we had this conversation years ago on the podcast, where it was like, are we just like masters of the platformer now, or are they just easier?
Well, and I think they're just easier for some reason, at least from Nintendo, because I think the Nintendo ones are easier, at least because I've played some platformers that are unfreaking forgiving when it comes to so.
Well, and you have recently,
and I know that I don't want to crap on accessibility too much because you go, well, we want a low barrier to entry, but like at some point, I like my games to provide me with a little challenge.
But they have an easy mode on there, like the tracking mode or whatever. Yeah. Like that's what I'm letting my son play it on. It's perfect for him, you know.
Yeah,
they already have
those are great features, and it's just like you could turn up the thing. And what a lot of people will say is, but there are some moons that are really hard to get, and it's on you to challenge yourself for those. And my response to that's always like, I understand that, and you can certainly say that, but I think the other piece of it is there's nothing that like is enticing me. There's nothing rewarding because the difficult moon, albeit harder to get than other moons, there's no bonus for me.
There's no difference.
It's putting in that time, and I'm just like, and I wasn't having enough fun to go, let me spend more time in this level trying to get that shitty moon, or I can move on to the next level and see more of the game. And I'm like,
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. You know? I will not, I guarantee you I'm not going to go back and play this game to try to get all the stuff. That to me makes a great game. And that to me is a really good indicator of a great game. I mean, it is. It just is. I remember Final Fantasy 7 and 8, I was really, really into those two games. And I actually went back and replayed them and got everything. You know, like that to me was like an epic game where I was like, I already beat this. Normally I'm like, well, thank God I beat it. Now I can leave it alone. I'm like, no. I'm going to dive back in and just, you know, kick ass on this thing. I'm not going to do that with Mario. I'm going to enjoy Mario until the end, but that's it. That's it. That's where we part ways.
Yep, I'm with you. That's where I kind of landed.
So, you know, it's good, but it's not groundbreaking, and maybe we're expecting too much. But and it's very easy and very predictable. I know where all the moons are, and that's the thing. I've gotten more, and you know, the levels where I got more moons than I needed to, just because I know where they, like, you know, on my way to going and defeating bosses and stuff. I know where they're hidden. You know, I'm like, well, there's like a ledge right there, or there's something out of the ordinary, so there's a moon.
Well, you know? and I think that's kind of the thing that maybe that's its like biggest criticism is the predictability is just like, I know we've played a lot of Marios, but just being predictable, that usually isn't something
predictable. It is predictable.
Usually that's not something that happens with Nintendo games. That's usually the charm, is like, oh my God, this new thing, you should have seen this, you should have seen that. And I will say later on,
some sort of puzzles, like Zelda is great with that too. Some sort of puzzles where you're like, damn, I'm stumped on this. What do I do? You know?
Yeah, and I will say, there is some fan service that does happen, and there's some really cool sequences that I know you're not at yet, but it's not enough to go, wow, that saved the game. And again, it's hard because it's when we talked about this before our little hiatus, and it sounds like I'm shitting on it, and I'm not.
I know, that's the weirdest thing. That's why I said preface this by saying we're going to contradict ourselves constantly.
I'm not shitting on it. I'm just like, you know, I feel like it's okay to have criticisms while still liking something, and these are kind of my criticisms. I mean, on the flip side, what I really loved about it is, you know, I loved the worlds. The controls were amazing. It was a ton of fun getting the moons that I kind of thought, you know, like that I actually put myself through getting, even though, albeit easy, it was still fun to do.
Yeah, it flows. I mean, there's something to be said about that. It's not like stop and go, like, whatever. It just flows because it's easy.
Yeah. So, it
bosses are way too easy. It feels like I'm playing it on, like, easy mode back when you had, like, easy or difficult modes or whatever. I feel like the bosses, I beat them, like, the first time immediately. On every single one, you know?
The bosses were, yes, I agree. So, and that's weird. Again, it sounds like we're shitting on it, and in some ways we're being critical of it, but I think at the end of the day you go, but it's still a good Mario game.
Mario fans. Yeah, I mean, we're being critical as Mario and Nintendo fans. I mean, we've been there, done that as far as all the major releases for Mario. I mean, there's some side releases that don't have anything to do with the Mario canon that I've never played and I never will, But so here's my challenge to you, and I'll try to do likewise. I guess put your money where your mouth is. Like, what would you rate this thing if as a, you know, out of 10? What's your critical review?
Yeah, well, it depends. If I
I know, I put you on the spot.
Well, no, I'm going to say two things.
Are you really shitting on it or not?
Well, no, I'm going to say two things. If I were to actually, if the video game industry actually was critical of games and used the full 10-point scale as intended, where they didn't use only like 6.5 to 10, where they actually used like 0 to 10 and didn't grade it like high school fucking papers, where it was like a 6 as an F, I would probably give it like a 6.5. But if I were to rate it with what it seems like video game establishments rate shit, as if like
you just got like A B C D,
as if we have like A B C D F, and a 60% is like a 59% is an F.
Failure.
Then I would probably I'd probably have to go, and I'd probably go out of 100 here. I'd probably give it like a 7.8. Like, I don't know if I'd even be comfortable giving it an 8, considering the other Marios that I've played and loved. I don't even know if I'd go to an 8, but I think it's a good to great game. So maybe an 8, I guess. I'd probably say an 8.
I'd probably, I haven't played through the entire thing yet. So for where I'm at right now, I'd probably say about a 7.5 is where I'm at. But if you were actually to give it a letter grade, I would be hesitant to give it an 8 right now.
Yeah, I suppose if you say it's a letter grade, it's probably like a B minus.
I would say B. I would say I would hesitate to give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
but I would call it a solid B minus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think that's a good way to look at it. Is pull the number off.
B at best. Probably lean towards B minus.
Yeah, I think it's going to get to the B for you. Like, I think if you were to give it a letter grade, I think by the end you'll probably come out of it and go, there was some cool stuff, and probably say maybe a B, but like, yeah, that's where I kind of falls, like a B minus. Like, there just wasn't enough. The lack of challenge, combined with the lack of really anything innovative, combined with the fact that the hat really, even though it's useful per stage, doesn't have anything like...
It's not a game changer at all by any means.
And then like...
kind of annoying, I hope his hat is regular in the next one.
Yeah, just use a regular fucking hat, Mario.
Go get a new one.
Yeah, and then like the costumes and like the being able to change, like that did nothing for me. Like, just because there's no reason for it, right? Some of the costumes, I think, give you little boosts and bonuses here and there, but it's like the game is so fucking easy that there's no point for me to, I ran around as naked Mario half the time. Or like swimsuit Mario.
Is there a naked the boxers? That's the only one that I bought.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to run around this way, because literally the costumes do nothing for me.
Yep.
So.
Indeed.
I think we're pretty much on the same page on that one.
No, I feel like we're on the same page with all of it so far, which is actually kind of funny. But, the only other thing I did was I got Microsoft Pinball Arcade, because I was hoping I could swoop in there before they got rid of all the Williams tables, which was something that Williams and Bally tables, which is something that we've always meant to mention at some point, but it's just whatever. But Pinball Arcade, do I always say Microsoft Pinball Arcade?
You do always say Microsoft.
I'm a dumbass. Yeah. It used to be Microsoft Pinball, or something used to be Microsoft Pinball Arcade, but the Pinball Arcade. Sorry. They're letting the license lapse for Williams and Bally tables, and I'm like, what's the freaking point at this point? I guess they're catering more to Stern, and everybody loves Stern, so here's a bunch of Stern tables and stuff, and I guess you can get Data East still, and you can get old Gottlieb tables or whatever. But I'm like, that's not my bag at all. I don't really want to play new Sterns on Pinball Arcade, and all I want is the Williams and Bally tables, so I'm kind of bummed about it. And they didn't even have anything. They don't even have them on the Switch. They're already gone. So, or they never were there in the first place. So, because what I was going to do is I was going to swoop in and buy like a couple table packs or something and just make sure I got them. But
I'll have to look. I did buy some table packs, but I don't remember which ones. I'll have to check tonight.
Well, right now all they have is Gottlieb and Stern ones.
I think as long as you bought some prior to them pulling. Like I said, I don't remember even what was out there, what I bought. I did buy 1 or 2 table packs when I first installed it like a year ago.
I bought a bunch of them on the Vita, and I guess that's fine because Vita looks fine. So, I mean, they're fun enough. Mostly it's for my son anyways, because he loves playing pinball, and he especially loves playing them on a handheld. So, anyway, so yeah, that's my adventure, man. I'll probably have more to report next week, but it's kind of where I've been at. I've been having a blast. My son loves, well, I'll say this. I let him play it. Like, he's got his own profile set up and stuff, that he can access, but every time I watched him play it, because he's still getting used to the controls and stuff, because he's 2, it made me want to throw up. I like that kind of gave me a bad initial impression, and that was not Mario's or Nintendo's fault. But I gave it to my 2-year-old to run around and stuff, and I almost vomited several times.
Yeah.
So that was it. So anyway, that's all I got to say on that subject. So, but I'll have more to report next week. I'm enjoying it. Like I said, you called me a liar in this one text message, but I'm like, I love having a Switch.
I was kind of being facetious a little bit, but
no, I do. I love having one. I can definitely. I'm excited about a couple things. I need that Wonder Boy remake.
Yep, it's really.
So I'll be downloading
it's really
that.
Good.
I know.
Really
this is one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game of all time.
The remake is it's so good. It's so
well, you can play it in 8-bit mode too if you don't like it.
Well, and you can switch it back and forth. But just seeing the hand drawn art that they did for that game, it's a treat. It's a fucking treat to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, get that. I would say, and also if you want like a really crazy platformer, because of how the D-pad is, I use the stick and I found it to be fine. Is Celeste? I think it's $10.
Oh yeah, you texted me that.
Oh, I loved that game. It's funny because like I've played quite a few games on the Switch, and ironically, the Nintendo ones have been the ones that have kind of been more meh for me, and then I've played some other of the indie games and shit where I wouldn't play. I don't. It's not that I haven't. I love indie games, but I feel like for the Switch that they are very nice because I can buy them and kind of lay in bed and play them, and I don't feel like I'm losing anything by playing it on the Switch versus playing it on the TV. And so it's nice because it's like I'll just go to bed and I'll lay down and I'll play like an hour here, an hour there, kind of like every night as I'm kind of laying down. And so that stuff works really good. So I actually picked up Celeste was awesome, and then last night I had a bunch of points from buying Nintendo games, so I picked up a game called Owlboy.
Okay.
It's rates phenomenal. I don't even know anything about it, but it just was kind of it looks like a 2D kind of platformer, side scroll or something or other. People are probably losing their minds because that's not exactly what it is, but yeah, it's probably kind of looks like that. But anyway, I picked that up because it rated real well, and so I'll probably start that this evening.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to Splatoon 2, Zelda. Definitely need to play those. I also am looking forward to playing all the Wii U re-releases since I did not own a Wii U. I definitely understand your gripe about all that, and I will be getting them as they possibly dip into the $40 range at some point.
Yeah, I would expect that's sometime here in the near future. They have to, like on the Wii U, they were.
I'm not paying $60 for them.
No, fuck that. Actually, I have something to say on that. But first, Wii U had Nintendo Selects, and I think they still do that on all the systems. So I'd imagine.
Yeah, they did that with even 3DS.
Yeah, I'd imagine in the near future there'll be some Switch Nintendo Selects for like $29. What I was going to say, and man, I'm probably going to get some shit for this. And tell me if you're going to probably know where I'm coming from. I think the internet's probably going to not. But let me say this. I am... these games less and less are feeling like $60 titles. For some reason to me. And that's not like... I've played 5-hour games that I've paid $60 for and I've loved. And I've played... games of all sizes, shapes, yada, 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 that I paid $60 for and loved. For some reason, these Nintendo games, with what comes out as on other systems for value releases at that $39.99 price point and below, for some reason, all of these Nintendo games that are coming out, they all feel like they should be $39.99 and not $59.99.
Yeah, no offense. If I would have paid $60 for the Mario, I definitely would have been disappointed.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, and I think I don't know if people are gonna agree or feel like it's hard to like quantify or put reasoning behind it. But for some reason, they just don't like. I just keep playing them and going like, "This is great," but again like Nintendo.
$60 is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, Nintendo's.
Like
I think
$60 game.
I think Nintendo got away with like. they're calling the Switch a console. And it's like, no, it's a handheld. But they're calling it a console so they can do the $59.99 pricing, because 3DS titles were all $39.99. And not to say that these titles aren't great and deserving maybe of like a console, whatever, but like the Switch is just really kind of the next handheld iteration from Nintendo, and they're amazing games, but I still am having trouble swallowing the $60 per, especially for the re-releases. So that's just my thought.
That is definitely a hard pill to swallow for sure.
And I'm not, and again, I always feel like I have to temper,
Yeah, but you spent that for all those games the first time around, right?
Well, and I did on the Wii U, and even on the Wii U, I felt like they were maybe this price was $60 was even a little steep. But to be asked that same amount of money again, and look, I
don't think you're out of line.
It's just a thought. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel. Whatever. So
yeah.
So anyway.
So yeah. Okay. So there's something else I wanted to talk about today. Was there anything that you wanted to cover before we jump into that?
No.
I don't mind putting that at the end.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, before we do that, let's talk about one thing. So my buddy, remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about what happened at Southern Fried Game Room Expo with Billy Mitchell, and the internet was ablaze with all that shit.
I think it's the Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
Thank you. See, it's like Microsoft Pinball Arcade. Old habits die hard or something. Yeah. I don't even know if I just made the Microsoft Pinball Arcade thing up. I probably did. I swear to God, it used to be Microsoft Pinball Arcade. But
I'm gonna check if there is. Is there a Microsoft Pinball Arcade?
Dude, probably not.
There is a Microsoft Pinball Arcade. There is.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
And it was developed by
I thought so.
Microsoft.
I used to have it on like Windows 3.1 or something, I think.
Yeah, there was one. Yeah, it was released,
or Windows 95.
It was released in 1998.
Yeah, okay, so probably Windows 95 then.
And it was on Game Boy Color as well, which probably looked
okay, all right. Well, I'm not crazy. Maybe I don't sound like a fucking idiot.
But yeah, so Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
Yeah, that habit is going to die hard as well. I don't know how I'm ever going to get used to that. But anyway, there was a controversy with Billy Mitchell and the what was the magazine, or not magazine?
Variety.
What was the Variety? Yeah, the online publication or whatever. Variety. The guy had basically shit on Billy Mitchell's blah 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 blah. And one of the things he had said at the end was, I heard this guy with a video saying, "Oh, this is probably the most like." This thing is like gold or something with the video that he had took of it or whatever. And I was like, those are my friends, you asshole, and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this guy, Al, who was the guy that had basically takes videos of all the panels and stuff. I think that's his job with the expo. But anyway, he had sent me a text today with like a YouTube link. And I was like, wow, what is this? I checked it out, and sure enough, it's the entire panel with Billy Mitchell ranting and raving at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. And I think are we going to throw it up on Twitter?
Yeah, I'll get it up on Twitter. Yeah, I just
I haven't watched the entire thing yet. I watched probably about 20 minutes of it earlier today, but I don't want to comment on it yet. But we'll watch it before next week, and you all should do the same. There's actually video of it now. So, and this is the only. I know for a fact that this is the only recording of it anywhere. So
yeah, that's pretty good. That's super cool.
Not saying it's exclusive to us, but it's Southern Fried Gaming Expo. It's their property, but check it out. So I think it only had like 60 views when I looked at it earlier, but we need to. I don't know. I think it's something worth checking out. It was really interesting, the 20 minutes that I got a chance to check out. And again, at the expo, my son, I was trying to give my wife, she had to miss the last two expos because of my son. So I was trying to give her most of the time. So I was entertaining my son, and we had like primo seats to begin with. We were like the first people there. And then he, of course, threw a fit. And then I had to go entertain him and wheel him around the hotel and stuff. So I missed the panel first time around, but here's your chance to get in on it and see exactly what happened.
Yeah, I will. I'll tweet it out right now.
I definitely saw Bobby Blackwell. Like, I don't know how he would have gotten a word in at all during the entire thing. Not just seriously, Billy Mitchell was on fire, man. Like, he was just I don't know. It was really fascinating. I thought it was really good, the 20 minutes that I saw. So check it out. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it.
Yeah,
so.
I'll watch it probably this evening or sometime this week, and we can reflect next week on it.
Indeed, and we can comment and all that stuff. So anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about real quick is, so I'm really getting into this playfield restoration thing for my pinballs. And that's something I always really wanted to do before I actually did my first one last year, which was the Taxi. I think it was over a year ago. And that took me like 3 months to do that playfield. I started with just an awful condition Taxi. And I was like, I really want to learn how to airbrush and just be able to restore the playfield on this. And it took me 3 months of airbrushing, but I got it, and I feel really, really good about it. My Taxi looks awesome. So now I kind of wanted to take it to the next level. And the next level is, I've just kind of looked around mostly on Pinside and saw what, some of the big guys, the guys that like professionally restore playfields do. And they all had a recommendation for a vinyl cutter. So a couple weeks ago when they had that 20% off coupon code?
Yeah, on eBay, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that they had like a Father's Day eBay code for like 20% off. And I was like, essentially you can buy anything on eBay and they'll give you 20% off. So I was like, I got to use this, So normally they're like $200, and so I got it for like $160. So I got the vinyl cutter. And I'm like, I don't know how to use this. I don't know how to use any image editing software or anything, but I will learn because this is something I really wanted to do. So long story short on that, I kind of went nuts this week too. I got a capture pen. So essentially it's like a pen and like a pad where you can capture whatever. So if I wanted to trace stuff, but like literally 5 minutes after I plugged in this capture. Have you ever used a capture pen?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, I bought one, and like 5 minutes after using it, I'm using Inkscape right now, but they have like the little tracer pen thing. You just zoom in and create the little nodes. I'm like, oh my god, that's 100,000 times easier, and it looks better. It's not easier than a capture pen, but it looks perfect. So I started tracing some of these complex images for my diner, and I did a test print of it yesterday, kind of weeded it out, which was kind of hard to do. Weeding out, meaning taking the areas out that you're actually going to paint. That was really difficult, but it was totally rewarding throughout the entire process. I'm super stoked about it. The other thing that I got was, check this out. Have you ever heard of this type of scanner? It's like it's a HP 4600 or 4700, 4600. I don't know, 4600. But anyways, it's like definitely the one that all these people use. And they're discontinued from HP, but it was like something it's kind of one of a kind as far as I know, as far as the style of scanner. But it's also like, I don't know why they wouldn't make anything like this anymore. But basically what it is clear glass. It's essentially like a frame, like a picture frame. And it's the size of a legal document or whatever. And I can take this thing off its little stand. Like I can scan it on the stand and it's super, super easy. Or I can take it off the stand and like set it directly on top of my playfield.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I can see exactly what I'm scanning. And, it scans up to like 2400 DPI, which is, more than I need. But it's freaking amazing, and I ended up getting it for like $50. I didn't expect to get it, but some guy had like a make me an offer thing, and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna get declined right away, and he accepted it right away. So
what's the model of it? Because it didn't come up under 4500, but I know what you're talking about.
No, it's a 80. It's an HP 4670, I think.
Okay.
HP 4670. Take a look at that thing. It's freaking amazing, and this thing is like.
Oh, look at that.
This thing is gold for what I need it for, especially. So
yeah, like this one's $140.
Yeah, but you can find them on eBay for like. And the thing is, they don't even update the drivers for it. But I think I got the Vista drivers for it, and it worked perfectly right away.
Okay.
I think I put it in compatibility mode, and it was not a big deal.
Problem.
But I got it like complete in box for like $50.
That's great.
Oh, so that's awesome. So I've got like a complete setup here, which is amazing. And I finally sent my diner playfield off to get the initial base clear on it. I had to replace almost all the inserts in it because they are all cracked. This thing is a pile of shit. So I'll send you a picture sometime this week and have you throw it up on Twitter so you can see what I'm starting with. I got to document. I'm so bad at documenting this stuff, but like I need to document it because this thing is a just awful disaster, but I think this thing is going to be awesome. I've already done some like some vinyl masks. So what I'm doing is with the vinyl cutter, I'm creating like masks for my airbrush. So I just basically put it down where it needs to go, airbrush over it, take off the mask. There it is. It's done, right? So I've already made a bunch of insert masks because obviously I had to replace all the inserts, so all the images on them are gone as well. So I think this is going to be probably a majority of the rest of the year that I'm going to be working on this diner, but I think the result is going to be just fucking phenomenal. I can't wait. And the cool thing about it too is if I ever like for some dumb reason ever need to restore a diner again, I'll have all those images ready. So already. So anyways, I'm kind of stoked about it. I'm actually really stoked about it. I'm really, really stoked about it. So I'll keep you updated as far as all that stuff goes, but that's kind of what I've been up to as far as the retro game fixing part of my week. So
it's been going. Yeah. No, that's cool. I can't wait to see some of it.
Yep. So anyway, that's it for me though. That's all I got.
Right on.
So are you good?
Yeah, it was a crazy week.
We talked about the Switch for a while, yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I didn't do much else. I mean, I ended up finally finishing Zelda a year later. I kind of put my final thoughts on Twitter, but for me, well, I don't want to say a lot. I want to wait until you have a chance to play it before I go into any more details that I haven't already spoiled for you.
I don't think you spoiled anything, but so, yeah.
There was. I don't want to color it because I'm interested to see your thoughts, and so I don't want to go too deep into that.
Well, it's funny how on the Switch and on Mario, we pretty much came to the same conclusion, Yeah,
yeah. I mean, you're a much bigger Zelda fan than I am. I do enjoy Zeldas a lot. I really like them. This one just didn't resonate with me, and I put 60 hours into it, and I had a love-hate.
That was going to be my question too.
I loved it for like 20 hours, and then like 40 hours of it, I don't have a lot of great memories, and like again, like the Zelda for me would be like a solid D.
Is that right?
Yeah. You need to play it, and we can have that conversation. I don't know where you're going to come out on it. I don't know where you're going to come out on it, and I'm interested to have that conversation. I would say that I certainly understand where the appeal comes from for a lot of people, but I just I have a lot of complaints about it, but I don't want to waste a lot of time here until you get a chance to get your hands on it.
Yeah, well, I think I'm a one game at a time person, so I'll probably finish Mario up within the next week or so, and I'll probably look to snag a copy of that, send that back to you and stuff. Right. So, but either that or Mario Kart, I'm really excited about Mario Kart 8 because I didn't have a Wii U.
Mario Kart's really good. I mean, I played it for probably like 60 hours on Wii U, and then I played it for another 20 on Switch. It's real good. Mario Kart's always just a blast.
Yep. So that's on my list as well. So anyway, well, cool, man.
Right on.
Well, I guess for RetroGameFix.com, the Retro Jonez podcast 119, this is Mitch.
And this is Mike.
And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.